Hey guys, welcome back to Squeaky Cooks. Today we are making chocolate brownies, and this is a request from my husband for breakfast actually. He doesn't normally eat breakfast, and I would much prefer him to eat a more savory, nutritious, protein-packed breakfast, but that's not going to happen today. So we are making chocolate brownies instead. So to a bowl, I'm adding 100 grams of milk chocolate and 50 grams of dark chocolate. I like using Lindt chocolate or Callebaut chocolate normally, and I'm just going to add some butter into that as well, which I think is about 150 grams. And I'm just going to melt that in the microwave and mix it all up together. And then we're adding some brown sugar. I usually add around 150 grams of brown sugar as well. Brown sugar is really good for brownies because it's got molasses in there, so it just gives it that extra deliciousness. And then we're adding some caster sugar, and I add only around 50 grams of that. And that's really important for the crackly top. So these brownies are like that chewy, soft, crunchy on top kind of vibe that we were going for. We're just mixing that up. Now we add in 2 eggs. You can whisk these beforehand. I just don't bother. I'm not sure why the filming is like this. I tried to use cinematic mode on my phone, but I'm not a pro, so clearly something went wrong there. And now we're just adding some flour in. I usually add around 125 grams of flour, and it's just regular plain flour. These brownies are super easy to make, and they freeze really well. You freeze them on the day that you make them, and then you can defrost them and heat them up in the microwave, and they are just delicious. They're a little bit soft inside, which is how I like them. I prefer a cold brownie, but my husband prefers a hot brownie. I'm also going to make some butterscotch sauce as well, which is delicious. So we're also adding some vanilla, some sea salt to this as well. And everyone always says in their recipes to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. No, you add much more than that. Add 2 teaspoons at least. I often add a tablespoon of vanilla. And then just a pinch of sea salt as well. Actually, I forgot to mention you do add cocoa powder in here as well, and that's probably around 30 grams, which is 2 heaped tablespoons of cocoa powder. Then you just throw it into a lined baking dish and you bake it for around 18-20 minutes. Now, this is the most delicious butterscotch sauce. It is so easy to make. You just add butter, which is a few tablespoons of butter, a few tablespoons of brown sugar, and let it melt in a pan. You just let it bubble away until it's all melted. And then all you have to do after that is add a little bit of cream. You can use either thickened cream or pure cream. I had pure cream on hand, and I just added that in, so probably around a quarter a cup of that. And you just let it bubble away, reduce a little bit, thicken up, the colour will change. I also add in some vanilla extract into this as well, and it is just delicious. And you can just let it sit. If you're having the brownies straight away, I highly recommend that you let the butterscotch sauce cool, because the sugar makes it extremely hot and it's like burning your mouth hot, so don't do that. And this is the final brownie with some delicious butterscotch sauce. This was my husband's breakfast with a coffee. Okay, and then when I gave him the brownies, I started on lunch because he's gonna need some actual food to eat today. So we're having zucchini fritters, and also we're having some soup as well. So we just grate a ton of zucchini. I think I have 3 or 4 large zucchinis that I grated, and I just added some salt into a strainer and put that on top of a bowl just to drain all of that excess water out of the zucchinis. And then I chopped up some scallions. I think people call them scallions or shallots or spring onions, but I know that technically I think they're spring onions, but I've always grown up calling them shallots. I know they're not actually shallots because shallots are like the small onions. Anyway, and then leeks as well. So I chopped up some leeks, some parsley, added some feta cheese. That brand is my favorite. Grated some tasty cheese as well. Bega is my favorite brand of tasty cheese. Then we're just squeezing out some excess moisture out of that zucchini. Look how much came out of that. That's going down the drain. And then we're adding some eggs, a couple of eggs in there, salt, pepper, some flour as well, just some plain flour, and just mix it all together. Okay, and then to a pan, I'm adding an excessive amount of olive oil. I always fry with olive oil. I know people think it's wasting money, but I just love olive oil and I love the taste of it, to be honest. So then, yeah, you just add this into a pan, cook them off and flip them over, which is the hardest part because they're so soft. I find that using spoons actually work better than using a spatula for these ones. And they are golden, crispy, and delicious. Okay, then now they are done, so they're aside, ready to go for when this soup is ready. Now this soup is the easiest soup you can possibly make. It's everything into a pot, and my husband thinks it's actually potato and leek soup, and that's what I call it to him. Yes, we're having potato and leek soup, but actually it's got cauliflower in there, and he would just never know. Anyway, so everything just gets chopped up into this pot, and then we just literally add in some salt, some pepper, and some water. This is me checking the leeks for dirt because I'm paranoid about getting dirt in my soup. I don't want my soup tasting like sand, so make sure you clean your leeks. Just roughly chop them up into the pot, and then add in some water, and you just add it to cover all of the vegetables. Pop it on the stove and then just boil it away. And if you have an immersion blender, that's probably the best thing to use. I don't have one, but I use a regular blender and it works fine. If you're just doing potato, an actual blender tends to make it a little bit gummy if it's hot, so the immersion blender really works well. I think you can get them from Kmart for like, I don't know, $20 or something. Probably a good investment. Anyway, here is the soup. It's delicious. Just topped it with a little bit of parsley, and then we're eating it here with our zucchini fritters, and my husband has no idea it's got cauliflower in there. Mie goreng is one of my favorite Indonesian dishes. I grew up going to Bali every other year, and I love mie goreng. Pretty simple, it's just a whole bunch of sauces in a bowl first. I added some sriracha, some garlic, some freshly grated ginger as well, some soy sauce, some ketchup menace. That is the key ingredient. That is like a sticky soy sauce that is amazing in any stir fry actually, but this one in particular. And you can use any type of meat or vegetable you want in this. We're just adding some oyster sauce in here, but you can use chicken, you can use prawns. I'm pretty sure traditionally it's made with some prawns and chicken. We are just doing chicken here tonight. and I'm just using some tenderloins, which I needed to use up, and also I'm using a bag of vegetables that I got from Coles, Asian vegetables. Those are those long knife noodles. You just throw them in boiling water for a couple of minutes and you just let them drain off. This is a tip for getting that white bit out of the tenderloin. Use a fork and a little bit of paper towel. Grab the end with the paper towel and use the fork and just push it away from you, and that whole piece will just come out. It's pretty easy actually. I think I learned that from Jamie Oliver when I was younger. Alright, now we're just making an omelette here, which is super easy. Just crack a few eggs and whisk them up. Then we're just adding it to a pan, a hot pan full of oil, and we're just going to turn that over, mix it around, it's bubbling all on the side. I used sesame oil here, just running with the sesame oil theme of the noodles. And we're just going to take that out and chop that up, and then we're going to add that into the noodles later on. Adding a little bit of sesame oil here, and we're just going to cook off the chicken. I don't put anything on the chicken first. I tend to just cook it by itself, because if it has sauce on there, it kind of steams, and I'm not about that steam vibe for this dish. So we're just cooking that off. Doesn't take long, only a couple of minutes. Oh look, there's my husband in the background. Okay, now we're adding some vegetables which we got from the bag from Coles, and all of that sauce mix goes in. So we've got the chicken, the vegetables, the sauce goes in, then we're adding in the noodles on top of this one. Just add them in on top and mix it all together. Add in the omelette on top of the noodles, and then the secret ingredient to mee goreng is actually tomato sauce or ketchup. Actually, and technically it's shrimp paste, but I can't deal with shrimp paste. I can't deal with the smell, so it just will make me sick. Even though when you cook with it, you can't taste it or you can't smell it as such. It's like fish sauce. It's the same kind of vibe, but I just can't do it. I can do fish sauce. I can't do shrimp paste. Anyway, this is so easy. This took like 10 minutes. Bye. So easy, and husband approved. He loved it. That's it, all done. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.